Dead men tell no tales, but their ships speak volumes. Welcome to the Cursed Compass, where we explore the darkest maritime mysteries. On October 3, 1955, the merchant vessel Joyita departed from this harbor on a 270-mile voyage to the Tokelau Islands. She carried 16 crew members and 9 passengers, including a physician and a government official. The Joyita never arrived. 5 weeks later, she was found drifting more than 600 miles off course, north of Vanuatu. The vessel was in a state of severe distress. She was found partially submerged and listing heavily to her port side, with the deck rails completely awash. Every person on board was gone. Along with the 25 passengers and crew, 4 tons of cargo, the life rafts, and the essential navigational equipment had vanished. Investigators found a contradiction. Despite the list and the flooding, the Joyita's hull was intact. She had suffered a catastrophic intake of water, yet she had refused to sink. Understanding what happened requires a deconstruction of mechanical cascade failure and the pressure exerted on human judgment during a crisis. The Joyita's durability was a product of her 1931 construction. Built as a luxury yacht, she featured a hull of 2-inch thick cedar on heavy oak frames. Her buoyancy was further increased during a 1948 refit. To provide refrigeration for commercial trade, engineers lined her holds with 640 cubic feet of cork. For her final voyage, she was also carrying 80 empty 45-gallon oil drums. This diagram illustrates the physical forces acting on the hull. The combined volume of the cedar, the cork lining, and the air trapped in the empty drums created massive positive buoyancy. Even when flooded, the downward force of the water could not overcome the upward force of these materials. Mathematically, the Joyita was structurally immune to sinking. Captain Thomas Miller was aware of this fact. It informed his decision to depart for Tokelau on one engine, despite several unresolved mechanical faults. The ship was effectively a floating fortress. For the crew to abandon it, they must have perceived a threat greater than the risk of entering the open ocean. The Apia Maritime Inquiry eventually located the origin of the disaster, a failure in the raw water cooling circuit of the port auxiliary engine. The cause was galvanic corrosion. This is an electrochemical process that occurs when dissimilar metals, like galvanized iron pipes and brass fittings, are connected in saltwater. This relentless chemical reaction silently degraded the interior of the metal until the pressurized cooling water finally breached the pipe. Seawater began pouring directly into the ship's lower bilges. Because the Joyita lacked watertight bulkheads, there were no internal barriers to contain the leak. The water spread laterally across the lower decks. The pipe was located beneath the engine room floorboards. Consequently, the leak remained invisible to the crew as the ship slowly gained weight. Thousands of gallons of water entered the vessel before the crew realized their situation. The crisis became apparent when the water rose above the floorboards and flooded the engine room. The crew attempted to activate the bilge pumps to clear the intake. However, the pumps lacked debris strainers. They quickly became clogged with bilge waste and failed. As the water rose, the crew placed mattresses over the starboard engine. They were trying to protect the electrical switchboard from water kicked up by the engine's flywheel. The effort was unsuccessful. The single functioning engine failed, resulting in a total loss of propulsion and electrical power. The ship's electric clocks stopped at 10:25 p.m., marking the moment the power went out. Without power to steer, the Joyita fell beam-on to the heavy swells. She took on the severe list that the recovery party would find weeks later. The crew tuned their radio to the International Distress Channel. But a break in the aerial cable, which had been painted over, reduced its broadcast range to only 2 miles. Their distress calls were unheard. A single pipe failure had triggered a cascade. 25 people were now trapped on a paralyzed, tilting vessel in total darkness. While the ship remained afloat, the human elements were missing. The inventory of missing items suggests an organized departure. The logbook, sextant, chronometer, and firearms were all removed from the ship. The crew took the 3 Carly life rafts, even though the Joyita did not carry enough life jackets for everyone on board. The state of the vessel contradicts theories of external attack. There were no bullet holes, no structural combat damage, and no signs of a struggle. Similarly, insurance fraud is unlikely. scuttling a vessel packed with cork and air-filled drums is a mechanical impossibility. The forensic evidence points toward a deliberate decision to leave the ship. One piece of physical evidence addresses the transition from a mechanical crisis to a human one: a doctor's bag left open on the deck, containing blood-stained bandages. This discovery led author Robin Maugham to a hypothesis regarding Captain Miller's role in the evacuation. Miller understood that the Joyita could not sink. Given that knowledge, it is unlikely he would have ordered 25 people into flimsy rafts. Maugham proposed that an injury, indicated by the bandages, may have incapacitated the captain. This would have left the ship's fate in the hands of a crew less familiar with its unique buoyancy. Consider the environment: 40-mile-per-hour winds, total darkness, a flooded deck, and a ship tilting so sharply it appeared to be rolling over. The Joyita illustrates a failure in human factors engineering. Even if a system is mathematically safe, if the sensory experience suggests a total loss of stability, the instinct is to abandon the lifeline for the unknown.